Boy, do I have some explaining to do. Was today good? No, today was terrible. I spoke a lot yesterday and the day before about how this momentum is going to stop, or at least, start to turn around at some point. And if I get caught on the wrong side of it, which I will, then I'm going to have a big loss. And sure enough, I had a big loss today. I lost 1,100 and something US. Wiped out all of the gains of the week. Pretty much. Almost, I think. No, not quite. Oh boy, does that hurt. But I was ramping up my share size, and I was taking bigger wins, so I was bound to take, a couple big losers. Unfortunately, they were bigger than they should have been, so why is that? So you can't, and I've learned this. I guess I learned this the hard way. Kind of the easy way, but also the hard way, because I still made money this week, but I could have made more. Let me turn down this camera just one more time. I always get it wrong here, the exposure. Hold on one sec. There we go. Okay, so I don't know. Like I was staying with, this was at 400. So this whole month I've been using 400 shares. So yeah, my winners are smaller and my losers are smaller too. But this was up until this week. So this whole thing was profitable trading, right? My green days all exceed my red days. I only had one red day. And that was because I was keeping my risk pretty much the same. I was using 400 shares. Whereas here, when I step it up to, 1,000, 2,000 shares, it's inevitable that I'm going to have a proportional loser to the amount of more shares that I was using. So I was using 4 times the amount of shares, basically. Or so, like on average. So my loser here was 305 times 4. So you would think I would have about a $1,200 loss, and that's pretty much exactly what I did. So that said, though, things went the wrong way on me, and then I did try to average down or get in and come up, grab a dip and then sell as it comes back up through a rip. And I need to stop doing that, because this could have been maybe half, if not a little bit less, like maybe a $500 loss instead of a $1,100 loss. If I had to just control that impulse, to just keep trading and make up that loss, because if I had to just cool down, even just stopped the day at my first loss, which was like 400, I think, I would have been fine. I would have just erased yesterday, not, I can't do the math in my head right now. Pretty much almost the entire week, I think. I don't even know if I closed the week red. Let's do a quick sum here. Okay, so I made only $212 this week. That's not good. It could have been more. And this is like what I said I struggle with as a trader. My emotions get the best of me because I'm fairly new to this. So I don't know when to just call it a day. I get too in the zone, and when I have a loser, like an instant let's watch the video. I'll show you what I mean exactly. So my first trade here was on MDGS. It's about to open here. So I get in pre-market with only 100 shares just to see where it's going, because it keeps going up. And then the move happened, but the move happened without my full size. I had 100 shares. And I think that really plays into my emotions. Because look at it take off here. 10 cents from my entry, 15 cents. And as I tried to get in with more size, I didn't get filled. So you can see as it pushes through this 13, 15, I try and get filled at 20, 25. For some reason, I don't get filled, and I know in retrospect, I think it's because this 1 minute candle alone had over 500,000 shares traded. So over $1 million changed hands within 1 minute. So there was just so many orders I didn't get filled, and I definitely look at this. I'm adding up here another 400 shares, bringing my profit average from down here to now, watch, you'll see it change to up here. So that was just not good. I shouldn't have done that. And that's my own fault. I was just way too in the moment letting my emotions and my impulsivity get to me. And like I said, that's what I'm struggling with fairly badly, I guess, as a trader. But once I figure that out, I'm going to get way better at this. So I think this is going to go right into a halt like it's been doing this entire week. And then on the way back down, I got out for a relatively small loss. That was okay. I think it's starting to come back up again. So what do? I get in. Like, I see the volume come in here. Like, it dipped a bit. The volume was ramping back up, so I got back in. I pretty much doubled my risk. Another just cardinal sin of trading. I should not have done that. I kind of waited for a pullback, and then as it wasn't working out, so I tried to get out here, but I couldn't override the order fast enough, and then I saw this big bid at $2. So I, added again, and it's embarrassing to watch because this is not how you should trade. Look at this unrealized. I should have been long out. My entries were what, $2, $2.29, and I'm holding for a little bit of a move higher here. Let me show you what happens. I'm still holding. So I know that if it breaks through 175 here, I have to get out. And the reason that this got slammed so hard was because in the meantime, BGI surged up 100% into a halt. So people were just bailing out of this and throwing everything they have into BGI. So this candle actually had closer to 700,000 shares, not 500,000 shares, in 1 minute. So I unfortunately took a massive loss, an absolutely massive loss on this. I broke every rule, and I have to live with it. I should have been out sooner. I shouldn't have been in. My risk is too high. I should have, this was so terrible. But I need to learn from this, and it's a really, really sobering lesson because I worked so hard this week to turn a great profit, and most of it's now gone. So I don't know. You really have to stay on top of your game when you're trading. Otherwise, you can see what happens. This happens so quickly. So right after this loss, what do? I jump into... This is what I was talking about before. So I jump in again as it's dipping because these stocks usually always dip, especially after this much. And then the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, you get a little bit of a surge. Like, let's say from this high up to maybe close to $2 or something. Sometimes it goes all the way back up to high of day and then even further. That's what it's been doing for this past week. If you watch my other videos, you'd seen how irrationally strong these stocks are. But sure enough, it just keeps dipping. I really just shouldn't have been in this. This was an impulse type of trade to try and make up for the loss, and I didn't take the profit when I had it here, and then it comes back down, and as it comes back down, I stop out for there's an even bigger loss. So I got out kind of when I should have, but I shouldn't have been in it in the first place. Even if it was just the original, this loss right here should have just been whoa, I need to step back. This could get a lot worse. And it got a little bit worse, but to be honest, it didn't get as bad as it usually does, which is, triple or quadruple what my initial loss would be. So, I don't know. I took another quick trade here on Cali. So, Cali was coming in with a lot of volume, a lot of buying. So I got in for the break of this previous high right here, which was also the first daily candle to make a new high. So this was a really, really good setup. So I got in. 500 shares, that's a little more reasonable. Actually, I don't even think I could take more because that's pretty much what was in the account at the time. So I let it go up. It's pushing, it's squeezing up. I thought I was gonna get halted right here, and then it didn't. So I start to sell. I think I sell my shares back on the way down. In retrospect, I was being a little greedy because of that first loss that I should have been selling into that push, which is what I would normally do. And you saw my unrealized there was up to, in the 180s. Wow, it actually It actually was in the 200s there. If I had sold everything in there, that would have been in the 200s. But I'm thinking in my head like, oh, I just had a $700-800 loss. What's a $200 winner gonna do? We have to hold on to this for it to like. You gotta just stay so disciplined and not let the other trades kind of define the way that you're trading for the rest of the day. Fortunately, I did that, and then I only made, was it 100 or something on that? 115 or 92, something like that. Yeah. As it came back down, I stopped out. So then my frustration carried over into BGI. I tried to get filled as it was again surging, so it opened lower, and I wanted to get in for that quick kind of surge back through the highs that usually always happens and has been happening all week. So I try and get in, I try and get filled. For some reason, none of my orders are going through, and that was just so frustrating. So my problem was I kept trying to get in even though I missed it. So I finally get in with a decent price because I think it's going to go straight into another circuit breaker. I have 1,000 shares, and I'm already down too much. Way too much. I wasn't managing risk properly. This is not, like, this... It's hard to watch because... Look at that. Another 400. Gone. So... That's what happens when... That's what happens when you get greedy. So, like I said, it was that... plus the other one, and then the green. So I'm down a lot of money today. I'm down 11. It was 1136 and 14 or 1500 Canadian. So the sad part is that I knew this was coming too. Like I was saying yesterday. I said yesterday back to 500 shares. I really should have listened to myself because I was starting to break rules. My first big loss would have been that day if it wasn't for a $1,500 winner. And then today I broke every single rule, and that's just not acceptable. So, granted, if I had been using the same share size this entire time, I would be completely fine, because the only reason this loss was so big was because I was taking 1,200 share positions, 1,000, and then not only was my share size bigger, but I didn't cut it after the first loss. You saw me a couple times jump back in when it was lower, thinking it was going to go higher, and then the loss would just get even bigger. So it was a combination of chasing, getting in late when I missed it, especially in a market that has been slowing down and it hasn't been working. Like, it stopped working pretty much yesterday and today. Too big of size, and I didn't stop out sooner on that first really big loss. So it sucks because I'm going to go into the weekend feeling like crap. I'm going to think about this the entire weekend, think about how much of a friggin' idiot I am. So hopefully when Monday comes around, we'll get right back at it. Again, I need to force discipline. So I'm going to go up. I don't know if I'm going to stay at 400 shares or 500 shares. Probably 500. Maybe 400. Just go back to what I was doing. And then at the end of the month, go up to 600 and just keep it there. I can't be increasing my share size in a strong market when I'm not really entirely sure how to trade properly yet, because then my losses are just they're too big. And when I don't follow like a set max position size, like it's kind of, you can't, like I said, you just can't manage risk properly. So you take 400 shares the entire month, and then on a couple days you start to take 2,000-3,000 shares. One loss can wipe out the entire thing and more, because you just simply can't make the same amount of money with like 1/5 to 1/10 the amount of shares. So I'll have the whole weekend to be hard on myself. Oh boy, it sucks, but you know, I'm learning as a trader. I wiped out a lot of it, but that's fine. I mean, I'm going to take it in stride. I'm going to learn from it, and that's the biggest thing, is just learn from your mistakes, because if you keep making the same ones, you're going to wipe out your entire account and be an unprofitable trader. So let's finish next week green. the last day of the month, we'll finish green. Maybe actually this day is when I'll start 600 shares or whatever. But thanks for watching, so have a good weekend.